Hello and welcome everyone to another My Future Energy Career webinar. My name is Jalen and I am here with today's STEM hero, Amy Whitehouse. Amy is a project manager at the Energy Coalition. Welcome, Amy. And without a further ado, tell us a little bit more about yourself and what you do as a career.
Sure. Thank you, Jalen. As you mentioned, I'm a project manager at the Energy Coalition, or TEC, and I do a lot of different things. But if I had to boil it down into a sentence, I work to make learning about energy fun, interesting, and accessible for people of all ages. So I get to use tools from behavior science, like psychology, and also fun motivators like prizes, points, and competitions to try to get people to want to be more sustainable and take energy saving actions. And I used to work in environmental education and outdoor recreation. So I've kind of always been in the environmental field and I'm enjoying focusing on energy with tech.
Awesome. That is great to hear. Next, we'll move into a little bit about where you're from.
Great. I'm from a small beach town in Connecticut. It's one of those tiny states in the Northeast. It's about 2 hours from Boston and 2 hours from New York City, but no major cities it really has. I grew up kind of close to the water, a lot of open space. So that definitely was an impact in me kind of being interested in the environment. And I was an only child, but luckily was close with a lot of my cousins and other kids in the neighborhood. My parents both worked for one of the town's or area's actually largest employers. It's called General Dynamics, and they make submarines. So they had a little bit more of a technical job growing up, and they both worked at the same place. And I actually had a lot of other family members who worked there as well. But I was not particularly interested in that, so I had kind of ruled that out from an early age. And I was also always told growing up that I'd make a good teacher. And I knew I would like teaching, but I never quite pictured myself being in a classroom for the long term. So I was kind of interested in exploring ways you could teach people in more non-traditional settings.
Awesome. Yeah, that's really
Yeah,
cool to hear that your inspirations from the past have come to your career now. Cool. So next we're going to go into some of your interests.
sure. Unsurprisingly, I like doing stuff outside. I think living in California is awesome. There's so much to do. The weather is great. So I like to take advantage of that and go camping, backpacking. I recently got a new bike. So I've been into gravel biking and exploring some trails in that way. And growing up, I liked similar activities. I stayed pretty active, but mostly through sports. And I also really loved reading. I read a lot growing up, and I loved particularly reading about animals and dogs. Um, yeah, so spending my free time outside, kind of outside of work, helps me recharge and remember why I like the environment. It helps me remind that my job with tech and working with people saving energy helps the environment. And besides that, there's lots of fun to be had. So
Yeah, definitely California has a lot of outdoor activities. Just curious, where is your favorite place to go outdoors in California?
uh, great question. I actually think the desert is really underrated. So San Diego's local desert and Borrego, I'm a big fan of, as well as the Mojave, Death Valley. I, of course, love the coast and everything that comes with it, but I think the desert's got some awesome animals and plants that are really interesting if you spend a little time there.
Awesome. Yeah, definitely inspiring me to go on and get out there in the desert.
Do it, 'tis the season.
Right? Okay, awesome. So now we're going to go into a little bit about your educational background.
Sure. So I grew up going to a relatively small high school and knew from that I wanted to go to a small college. I went to Gettysburg College, which is a liberal arts school at the bottom of Pennsylvania, and there were about 3,200 undergraduate students, which to me was twice the size of my high school. So it seemed bigger. But I learned that for a lot of folks, that seems super small, but I really enjoyed getting to know my professors and my classmates really well. A highlight of that experience was definitely spending a semester abroad in South Africa, where I got to study human rights and stay with host families and do some traveling within the country. That was really amazing experience. I feel super lucky I got to do that. And I also graduated with 2 degrees, one in environmental studies with a concentration in writing and a sociology degree. So I liked that the school allowed me to kind of infuse the environmental science degree with a humanities focus. And I kind of knew that I could work in a STEM field then while still using my skills, which are strongest, which are reading and writing. So
Wow, yeah, that sounds like an awesome college experience. What was like the biggest takeaway or most memorable experience you had while studying abroad in South Africa?
great question. I think staying with the host families was really special. My first family was in the township of Langa outside of Cape Town, and they gave me a name when I stayed with them for 4 weeks, and it was Zandile. So that was a pretty crazy experience to just kind of be, you know, totally a part of a new family. They're wonderful. I learned so much from them. And I also got to cage dive with great white sharks towards the end of my trip. And that was pretty cool learning about them as a species, some of the conservation efforts, and just getting to see them up close.
Yeah, that sounds like an amazing experience. Okay, next up, just a little bit about to get here, what you had to learn.
Yeah, leaving most of my friends and my family on the East Coast definitely required a little bit of risk and bravery. And I also totally recognize I had the privilege to be able to pursue that, definitely a safety net and lots of support back home that allowed me to move out here. And I'm really glad I did because it's a place I can pursue my environmental passions, both personally, recreationally, and professionally out here. It's a great place to do that. Um, I've also learned that in STEM fields, there's room and a need for everyone. So you might not think if you're not a huge fan of like math and science, some of the more technical stuff, STEM might not seem like it's for you. I used to think that, but I've realized working with a lot of engineers and in the energy industry that it takes people of all types to achieve progress. So I think that's really important. I've also learned patience is great. At the end of the day, everyone just wants to feel understood and appreciated. My first job working up in the mountains at an outdoor science school is the photo you're seeing here. I think that job taught me a lot of patience because I lived and worked with all my coworkers. They were wonderful, but that was definitely required patience as well as living and working with a bunch sixth graders year round and taking them on hikes and all of those things. So something I learned early on in my professional life that's definitely helped me here at Tech as well.
Yeah, for sure. Thank you for sharing. And I just wanted to ask, what was one of the biggest challenges making the big move out to California and adapting to a new environment?
Um, I guess the unknown. I moved out with a backpack and kind of planned to just stay for the school year working at this outdoor school. And 5 years later, here I am. So definitely just being comfortable with the idea that you don't know what's the next step and that's okay, that things will work out for you if you surround yourself with the right people and you work hard and you try to do a little bit of planning for yourself, but kind of trusting the process a little bit. You know, you got where you were for a reason. So just reminding myself to be open-minded.
Yeah, some great advice coming from our STEM hero today. Okay, moving on, and we get some more advice from Amy.
Oh yeah. This one's hard. I feel like I'm still learning things every day, but one thing I did a lot growing up that I feel like directly helps me in my work every day is I read a ton. And now I can read things pretty quickly and digest ideas really easily. So if reading's not for you, I suggest try podcasts, watch videos, just pick the things that are interested you and try to learn about them. There's so many great resources out there right now, and that can really help you gain more confidence in your knowledge. Um, I would also suggest writing down your goals and revisiting them frequently. I know that helps keep me on track. I personally love using a planner and that kind of thing. And don't forget to have fun. I said pet as many dogs as possible.
I really like that last one. Definitely helps maintain the brain. Okay. Okay, thank you so much, Amy, for that beautiful presentation. So we're going to move on to a few student questions. First of all, I just wanted to ask, what was your first job?
My first job was working at my town's local ice cream shop. It was brand new. It had just opened. It was called Gumdrops and Lollipops Candy Shop. And I scooped ice cream and served fudge, um, and dressed up in a 50s themed outfit. I did that for my first 2 summers before becoming a camp counselor, which ultimately ended up being a lot more relevant to my my career today. But I learned some great lessons while working in food service.
Yeah, that seems like every kid's dream to work in an ice cream shop.
Yeah, it was great ice cream. I definitely appreciated that.
Okay, thank you. And our last question is, did you ever want to be something else in your career? And if so, what else did you want to be?
Yeah, I never had a tunnel vision in terms of what I wanted to do. It was more easy for me to rule things out as I learned more. And I think there's nothing wrong with that strategy. When I was really little, I used to think I wanted to be a vet and an author because I loved dogs and I thought it would be fun to help animals and then also write about it. But I quickly realized that medicine wasn't really something I was actually interested in, and veterinary work is a lot more than just petting puppies. But I don't think I really knew what project management was until I had graduated college, and I realized that being a good communicator, being a leader, liking to take initiative over tasks, working together on a team, all of those things help you manage projects. So, yeah, I never knew I would end up here, but I think looking back, it makes a lot of sense that I did.
Awesome. Yeah, thank you so much for sharing. Yeah, so I just want to thank you one more time for coming and sharing your education and professional journey through this My Future Energy Career webinar. I also want to thank everyone viewing. We hope you enjoyed this webinar. And if you're looking for more webinars like this one, make sure to go visit YouTube and search up My Future Energy Career.
All right. Thanks for having me.